Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and in this video I want to show you how I paint the scales on my Stegadon. So first up I grabbed some Achillean green. This is one of the contrast paints from Citadel. And then I also grab another contrast paint. This one is Volupus Pink. And as you can see, I apply the Achillean green to the upper part of the scales, and then the Volupus Pink to the lower part of the scales. And then I try to sort of blend them in between. I have yet to find a really nice purple contrast paint, but I actually think that the mixture of these two work really well. And you can see it's pretty easy to do a wet blend with the contrast paints, particularly when you're working on scales, because there'll be a lot of moisture between the scales, so it's really easy to keep working with it. Next up I add some mood green on the top parts of the scales on the Achillean green to add sort of a highlight. And as you can see, I try to apply most of the paint on the top, so that's where you would have the light hitting the scales, I assume. I'm not being too careful with it because, I mean, as I've said many times before here on this channel, I paint to play. This is not going to be a display model of any kind. So if something doesn't quite work out, I can definitely live with it. I also use the mood green here, as you can see, on the ridges on the part of his back here, again to give the illusion of some sort of light hitting the scales. Then I have a mixture of Temple Guard blue and a bit of white that I apply to the purple part of the scales. Again, mostly to the upper parts on each individual scale, but again, it's not something that I am willing to spend a whole bunch of time fussing over. So if I make a mistake, well, that's just the way it is. And this color scheme, I have to also admit, I haven't done any test runs or anything with it before. I just sort of thought it sounded fun. Then I take, as you can see here, some yellow fluor pigment from Greenstuff World and mix that with a bit of Tesseract Glow from Citadel. And this will result in a very vivid green that I also want to use on the scales. And you can see you just need to mix it up a little bit, and then it'll be just like any sort of ordinary paint that you can work with. And you can see here that it really helps brighten up the top part of the scales. I will have to say though that if you mix pigments like this with a bit of painting medium or a bit of paint or anything, and you apply it to a large surface, it will not look as smooth as ordinary paint. I don't think you can mix it as well as ordinary paint is actually mixed. Then I take a bit more of the light blue, this time with a bit more white in it, and apply that to the purple part of the scales. Again, just to help brighten them up a little bit. Next up I take some more pigment. This is Cyclam Red from PK Pro, my very favorite pink pigment. And then I mix that with a bit of white paint. This is my favorite white paint. This is matte white from the Army Painter. And I mix these two together, and then you get a really nice pink that has the added benefit, as did the yellow fluor pigment, that it will actually glow in the dark. And I mean, any sort of paint that they will also let you see your model under a UV light in the dark, that is just, you know, a bonus, right? And I use this pink pigment paint I've created here. I use that on the Volupus Pink part of the scales. And again, trying to get most of the paint on the upper parts of each individual scale to sort of give the illusion of light hitting the scales from above. On the edge of the hide, I do a quick cross-hatching pattern just to give some sort of texture to it, as there are no scales on this part of the model. It will also help tie the model into the rest of the army, where I will also be using the cross-hatching technique. As the last highlight on the green scales, I use a bit of Flash Kids Yellow just to brighten it up just even more. I could also use perhaps a little bit of Wraithbone or even a touch of white to really make the highlights stand out, but I've decided just to go with the yellow because I think it gives it a more saturated look that I prefer for this part of the model. Lastly, for the purple scales, I apply just a slight touch of white, and I do the same for the pink scales, just to give them that sort of really final highlight that makes them really pop. I try not to go overboard with the white, as I do not want it to look like it's sort of a very pale pastel sort of color with just a hint of color underneath. I want it to be very bright and very vivid, and then just with a very sharp highlight. So that's the look I'm going for. But again, as I said, sometimes it doesn't quite work out the way I intend, and that's just fine. But I think for this model, I'm getting the look that I was hoping for. I think this is a fun and bright color scheme that will look cool on the tabletop, and it will definitely fit the look also of my Seraphon warriors. I have a video about how I paint my Seraphon warriors here on this channel as well. So what do you think? Do you like it? Is it too much? I mean, I think in my kind of painting, or at least in my style of painting, it can almost never be too much. I'm always trying to see if I can push it just one step further. But eventually I'll probably get to a point where I'm thinking, that's just crazy for the sake of it. But this model, that's not it. I'm really having fun with this color scheme, I have to say. So and I've also decided, by the way, that to name my new Seraphon army the Lollipop Lizards, and I think this fits in with that theme pretty well. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. Also, if you want to stay up to date on what I am up to with my painting, and also what I'm going to do with my new Cursed City box that I just brought home from the shop today, you can follow me as Dice and Demons on Twitter and Instagram, and you are also more than welcome to join me on the Dice and Demons showroom, which is a group on Facebook where you can show off your own painting skills and your building projects and all sorts of other things that you're working on. It's a really nice, friendly little community, I think, so if you want to join, you are definitely more than welcome. So if you like this video, I hope you will consider leaving a like and also subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so already. So thank you so much for watching this one, guys. I will see you next time. Bye!